Hi, I'm Caden. Today I'll be telling you a little bit about cards, including how you throw them, different techniques, how the cards you use affect how you're going to throw them and what the results will be, but also a bit about the history of card throwing. Now, one of the things that made card throwing popular was a book that came out in the 70s called Cards as Weapons. It was a card made by a magician and was mostly satire among different sorts of things. But it taught you about different sort of techniques, how hard you have to throw the card depending on the conditions you're in and the type of card. The first card I'll be going over is one like this. There's nothing special to it. It's just an old card for Magic the Gathering, just a game you play. There's no finish on it. Now it's older, so it's a bit roughed up, but nothing really too special to it. Next, I'll be talking about playing cards, specifically bicycle playing cards. Now these cards have an air cushion finish. What that means is that the cards will slide freely without getting caught. Air cushion finishes work by making tiny perforations and little bumps on the cards so that little pouches of air get captured, making them slide very easy and smooth. These cards are the ones that I'd recommend if you were beginning because they're very common in the household, and I'm sure many of you have them in your home today. Another kind, well, not really a card at all, is more so one of these. These are ones that I use when I'm going more for distance, or when I'm trying to throw it harder or do more damage. I do not advise throwing cards at anyone's because they can leave welts. They can even break the skin sometimes if thrown hard enough. These ones are made just more for messing around, or if you're practicing using a piece of styrofoam, or if you're trying to cut into fruit or something like that. The last kind is the type of card I currently use. It does not have any finish on it, so they don't slide very easily, especially considering they have a design on the back that has lots of little lines, so they tend to link together and not slide. These ones are made out of plastic and have a coating surrounding them so that water does not leak into them, they don't get wet, and they're very strong, rugged cards. These ones you can bend, and they bend back. They're very nice cards to use. You can throw them at a wall or at a door and they won't get dented, which is one of the biggest problems with using playing cards that are usually made out of some sort of cardstock or layered paper. Now, I'll be telling you about the different methods of throwing. I don't know the names of all of them. Specifically, I only know the name of one. This is called the Thurston grip. It was made by someone close to Houdini in the way of his magic and escapism, named Howard Thurston. You hold your fingers like this, almost in a plus, and you slide the card in between so that it's facing the long way. This method isn't really used in order to go far or have a lot of power. It's used more for frisbeeing the card up. Granted, I'm not very good at catching it, but it's good for throwing the card up and catching it, simple tricks like that, or for any sort of sleight of hand where you need something quick. The next method is a beginner method, where you put your pointer finger on the tip of the card with the other point facing your palm. You place your thumb in the middle of the card with your middle finger on the other side, overlaying your thumb. Your ring finger goes almost to the other corner of the card. You bring your arm up into an L with your arm straight up. You don't want it up here or too far back. You want it straight. You want a nice L shape while bringing your hand down like you're about to throw a frisbee. One of the common things they say is to hold your arm up like you're throwing a baseball and flick your wrist like you're going to throw a frisbee. And when you do this, you should get some sort of a whipping motion in order to get the card as far as possible. One of the harder techniques, depending on who you are, is you take the card, the corner, much like you did in the first one, with this corner facing your palm. You bring your arm up into the exact same shape, which is universal for most methods and forms of cards and card throwing. This is one of the most effective and commonly used methods, including professional card throwers, by professional card throwers. The way you should hold this card is that when you throw your card, it should be so loose in your fingers that you don't even have to move them. The momentum of the card should carry itself out of your fingers and into your target, depending on what it is, wherever it is. Alright, now I'll be throwing each card in a demonstration to show you how far they go, how hard they hit, and how accurate they are. Alright, first up is just this gift card. It's empty, sadly. So, I'm going to be using this technique, which is what I use for most of my card throwing, unless I'm doing some sort of trick. I'm going to bring it up into an L, and I'm going to throw it over there at that door. Alright. Since they're made out of plastic, they're smaller, but they're heavier. They hit a lot harder. Now, even though I said not to hit people with these, I have done it once, my friend, and it left a welt on him. They are not intended to be thrown at people. They can hurt very much, especially certain kinds of cards that you can buy online, where you can even get them with aluminum around the edge that you can sharpen. Next, I'll be throwing the card I currently use for any sort of card throwing in practice, which is the one that I mentioned earlier that is made out of plastic, is flexible, and does not get wet and ruined easily. While not as accurate, it's a much nicer throw. It still throws quite hard, just because it's still made out of plastic. It's very nice to throw. This one, it's a very weak card, and when I throw it, I'll most likely dent the corner around it. It's very light, not nearly as accurate, it's a very low quality. I've been aiming about from the middle of it, or where the first one hit, just kind of eye level, somewhere around there. It bounced right off right away. It's more just a junk card that you might have laying around, something you don't really care about very much. This last one is the bicycle playing card, and it's one that I used before I got my plastic ones. These ones often whip through the air the fastest and have the most speed out of all of them, just because of how light they are. They're light, yet they remain durable and do not dent easily. This is my presentation. Thank you for watching.